Hi, my name is Michael Tyburski, and I directed and co-wrote The Sound of Silence. Stalker is another great one. Tarkovsky really pushes atmospheric sound to unworldly places and how much the environment is affecting the characters' psychoses. I really admire the restraint so much in that movie where, they play things very quietly and there's a lot of stillness. So there's essentially scenes that are silent. When the characters travel into the zone, there's a real disconnect between what you're seeing and hearing, and it in turn, brings your focus inside the minds of the characters. Our sound designers, I found guys who really wanted to nerd out over the sound, and we tuned everything that Peter references in terms of, when he walks into an apartment and says, this kitchen is X and this bedroom is X, then we really tuned our sound so it would register like that.
Hear that?
Because we want to really hear it from his point of view, I want to kind of understand it that way. And whether or not those things register to an audience, it was important to kind of have those bases that we work from. We also had a second unit sound team go and capture sounds from the real places. Midtown Manhattan sounds very different than Chinatown, and they went out and captured what traffic sounds like in Grand Central Terminal during rush hour and what the Roosevelt Island tramway sounds like when it goes over those wires over the East River. Those were all very specific sounds, and when we really wanted New York to sound unusual because we're hearing it from a certain POV, and it's not so much about making it experimental, but highlighting almost microsounds that you would hear within a wide shot. If you're looking at a shot of FDR, I want to hear the sound of one tire going over the pavement rather than the bed of traffic, because that's the way Peter hears it. And the way we travel through New York is through that very specific way of hearing. We considered sound a character in a way. The sound was written into the script like a character. We introduced it as this unseen character, and we left room for it. And our sound design team was working early on, and one of the things that they built and experimented with was kind of like a low rumbling, this idea that's essentially dissonance, and they want to make the audience somewhat uncomfortable in a moment. Then we found that raising it over time, over the course of that scene, very slowly, can have that effect. And it's something we had a lot of trial and error when we put the movie together to where to do that, because it's very easy to overdo. But we found kind of in the so-called third act of the movie, we really kind of pushed that to the point where it grows and grows and then finally crescendos during a big moment in the movie, during an electrical outage. And we felt that that was not only, just a great way to get into his head, but also physically, that's what Peter's going through. He's essentially hearing the kind of electronics all around him and hearing buzzing in a way. So it was kind of the last thing we could do to kind of set him over the edge, but also make the audience feel hopefully a little bit as uncomfortable as he is at the same time. I always try to communicate with the sound designers in a very tactile way. You talk about texture, and another is how you want the sound to make you feel emotionally. I found were kind of like the best ways to communicate sound and to talk about it in terms of trying what you want to do. And you really just have to also listen a lot and then register how that sound is making you feel. So usually you start with one sound or a few sounds and you layer and listen, but then we usually would end up in a place where it's about then removing certain things, and then sometimes it's just paring it down to one single sound. But sometimes it's the most effective to strip it down to just one single sound and really kind of get the point across. It's sometimes the easiest solution, it takes the longest to get to.